Well, my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Man Cave, and I left that dang light on again. Well, I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'll turn it off as we watch our videos. I've got 3 videos for you. The first one is a little long. It's about 12 minutes long, but I thought I'd let the camera go ahead and run as I drive all the way back to the back. Well, not all the way back, actually halfway back on the property. But this time I took the, what I would call the east trail, which is the trail that goes along the east side of the valley. I usually go down the west trail, which goes on the west side of the valley. But anyway, we're going down about halfway down there. That's how the video starts. And working on the cave, on what I hope is going to be a cave. I still haven't found a cave yet, but anyway, the video speaks for itself. Here it goes. Well, I pulled the mini skid steer back here where the, possible cave could be. And I got the mini skid steer down in there. And I would say, Houston, it might be premature to say we have a cave, but we have something. So let me show you the something. I don't know if it's a cave, but we have something. And it's hard to convey this, I think. Can you see the big hole there where the rock, all that's mud? And it was almost like this rock was stacked here. All of this rock could potentially come out as an entrance, but for sure that's loose dirt back in that rock. And that's a hole. That's almost big enough for a person to crawl into. If you were really inclined to go into a cave, which some of these cavers are, of course. But of course that mud would have to get out of there. Yeah, we definitely have something. I'd almost say there's a cave there yet. It's a little premature, but I think we're getting close. The little... Well, it's buried in the dirt here, but that little prong digger really did pull that stuff out of there pretty well. You can see more dirt falling out. There's a lot of water coming out of there. In fact, I think there's more water coming out of there now than there ever has been. Of course, that could just be that I've lowered the water level out here and it's running out easier. But it's also possible that that spring was coming underground and back up in the creek out here, and we could be changing the course of it and make it come out this hole here. Is possible too. That is possible. Stuff like that happens. I think I'm going to have to put the bucket back on this and dig all this mess out of the way, and then see if I can get some more of that rock out of there. I'll keep you informed. Well, my friends, I was definitely premature and hopeful on the cave. I don't think there's a cave there, at least in the immediate future here. It might. I still kind of think there's one there. It's just that it's further back in there, unfortunately, than I feel like going. You can see kind of a gravel matrix down on the bottom, and then there's a lot of dirt, and that dirt's falling out. I don't know what's going to happen, if this is going to end up being a cave or not. Kind of hopeful it will blow that out of there in the next big rain we have, but we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, it was tough. And then I get that little excavator gets high centered on these rocks real easy, and it ain't got the power to pull itself off once the tracks are stuck. If the tracks are stuck, you know, you can't use the bucket while you're using the tracks. It ain't got that kind of power. So I'm able to take the bucket and push me around a little bit and finally get myself wiggled out of it. But man, it ain't no simple thing. I got stuck twice going down through there. It just ain't fun. Well, my friends, today is Tuesday morning, and according to the weather apps, which I don't usually check, but I only checking them because I want to get started on the water wheel house again. They said there's a 70% chance of rain today. Couldn't tell it by that sun and this blue sky. And according to those apps, there's it's a 70% chance it's going to rain the next 2 days. So it doesn't make sense to start on the water wheel house today, or get back on it, I should say, not start on it, but you know what I mean. So let's go do something different. Well, it's the next morning. I just wanted to see how this was looking after setting all night in case it might have washed out some more dirt, but unfortunately it doesn't look like it did that. This is steep getting down here. Well, you can see there that there's a big dirt layer under that rock. That looks like it's fairly solid rock all through there. So if there's a cave here, it's still a ways back in there. I don't know. I'm about to give up on it, I guess. Wow, there's water coming out up here too, running down this way. Well, that kind of gives me hope that maybe the cave's over this way more. And that water's coming from that direction, so maybe that's the direction of the cave. In fact, there's a big rock right there in front of it. I feel like there's got to be a cave here since that LiDAR showed a big hole there. I mean, that LiDAR only shows holes where there are holes for the most part. It's hard to really pinpoint exactly where that hole was shown, so my guess is it's probably this direction. Well, I'm going to give it some time, and maybe I'll bring the Bobcat because it's got a lot more power. Maybe we can move some of this heavier stuff here. Probably have to get rid of this tree, which is no great loss. It's not much of a tree anyway, and I can use it for lumber and shingles since it's a cedar tree. And I'm trying to get rid of most of the cedar on the farm anyway, which is impossible. There's no way to get rid of it all, not unless you're a whole timber crew, because there's a lot of cedar. Well, it's pretty and it's peaceful, and there is a lot of water coming out of there still, considering it hasn't rained much for the last 2 days. It's sprinkled a little bit. Well, so far no cave. Doggone it. I still think there's one there. I really do. That LiDAR, you know, I had a feeling there was a cave there to begin with. Now, I learned something yesterday that I didn't know, and this is according to Sue. You know, if you remember, those of you who've been watching a while, you remember when Sue and her girlfriends crawled back in that cave, the other cave, and dug out that clay, which she's been making pottery out of and stuff, and they refined that clay and all that. Well, anyway, she said when she's back there about, I don't know, it's about halfway back, she says when she looks to the left, she can see daylight coming out of there. And I'm going, there's no way. And she says there is. She says it for sure happens. And I'm going, it's not. I don't think so. Because I've been back there and I don't remember seeing anything like that. Well, anyway, that's pointing back toward where I'm talking about. Plus, if you remember, there is another smaller cave that it's not very stable that is to the left of there. And she could be seeing out that particular one that's not stable, I guess. Anyway, I'm just pretty sure there's another cave there somewhere. and like I said, I had that impression already way before I saw the LiDAR data. And then when I saw the LiDAR data, it confirmed it. I mean, it put a hole right where I thought there was a cave. So, you know, it was like, there's got to be something there. Switching subjects on the old Ranger there, you saw the ride back through that trail on the Polaris Ranger. I just wanted to point out that the 3 improvements that I've made to the Ranger over the last year have just changed everything. Well, first of all, getting the drive shaft fixed, that's improvement number 1. You know, getting the rebuilding the drive shaft, that really did help a lot. But I'll tell you, in my opinion, probably the biggest thing it improved it for me is the aftermarket fuel gauge. I put that on there. Oh my gosh, it's just changed everything. I don't have to worry about running out of fuel because you could never tell if you had fuel or not in that thing.
And but now it's perfect. And then let's see, the other thing was I paid like $160 for this goofy tool, electronic gadget, to be able to tune the fuel injection. And I have to admit, it took me 5 or 6 tries to figure it out, to get it where it works. But I finally got it where it works. You can't tune those fuel injections, those, I forget what it's called now, but it's got a name. Anyway, it's this particular module thing. You can't tune it just by ear, experience, trial and error. You'll never get it. It takes that $160 electronic gadget in order to tune that fuel injection. Well, I finally got it tuned pretty good, and it runs really good, starts good, runs good. So it's like having a whole new machine again. And yeah, it's a 2009, and it's been through the mill, and I'm sure I'll still keep replacing parts on the thing. But doggone, compared to paying $16,000, $17,000 for one, this thing works like a dream. So I'm real tickled with it. The other video I have for you here, all of a sudden my eyes are itching. By the way, it is raining outside here. The weather guessers did get it right. They said it was a 70% chance of rain. The next video I have for you is a metal detecting video. So here it is. It's a short one.
I thought I'd take the opportunity to do some metal detecting this morning, and I rarely ever detect. Well, I have detected a little bit here over the years, but very, very little. This is the Native American, what I call their campsite. It's an elevated plateau-like area, and anyway, I don't know very much in terms of, things around the world, but I'm pretty sure they didn't have this tool right here. And I just dug this up. See what I just dug out of this hole right here? I'm fairly sure they didn't have that. A socket extension. I'm pretty sure this doesn't go back to the Native Americans. But then again, I don't know everything.
No, but I know I found $5. That's the way I always think of it, is I just found another $5 bill. It's a Craftsman socket extension, and it's possible I lost it. I guess that's possible. It is fairly shiny, but if you look at the corrosion on it, it was real rusty. And I just put it on the wire wheel this morning and turned it around on the wire wheel, and that cleaned it up really good. And this little ball, that the detent ball here that holds the socket, of course that was froze solid too, but I just put some oil on it and tapped on it a little bit with a very small little hammer, and just tapped on it a few times and worked it around, and it works perfectly. So $5. Here's what I also, in that same spot there, and I was only there a few minutes, really, maybe 20 minutes total. I found this, which is kind of weird. One chain link, which I've found lots of chain links over the years, but generally there'll be 2 or 3 attached. This was the only one I think I've ever found as a single. Then I found, again, another obligatory horseshoe. It seems like I find one of these every time I go out. That could be off of one of Sue's horses, I guess. Possible. But then I found this other little weird thing, and when I first found it, I got all excited because I thought I had found another hammer, another hammer head, which would be a very unique shaped one, but that's what it looked like it was because it was covered in mud. But now I've cleaned it up, and you can tell that's not what it is. But it looked like a hammerhead. Keep in mind, this was all solid mud-looking dirt. It just was one solid piece, and I could see kind of an indentation there, and I thought, well, a handle goes through here, and it's some kind of weird hammer. Well, that's not what it is at all. It's probably some kind of a linkage chain type thing off of some kind of equipment is what I'm guessing. There's a pin in the center here that's got a hole through it, and this used to rotate. There's a rivet looking thing right there, and I'm sure that pin thing on the inside that would rotate with a hole through it has something to do with something. And then I would imagine that another link or something else connected on each end here. I don't know what that is. I really just don't know what that is. If anybody has a clue what that might be, please speak up. I need to do an image search on that and see if I can find anything in Google that would show me that. Well, let's see. I didn't show you the Honda video yet, did I? So let me show you that.
Well, my friends, maybe the weather guessers do know something. Now it's become overcast. I was back there metal detecting for about 30 minutes or so, and the mosquitoes and the humidity and heat was just killing me. But literally the sun has now gone behind the clouds type thing, or an overcast sky, and it's starting to get dark looking, so maybe we are going to get rain. Let me show you the State of the Union on the Honda. Well, maybe it would help if I had some lights on in here. Yeah, I've got her tore down pretty good. She's, you know, I got the whole thing. I think this is ready to lift off also, but it doesn't feel loose, so maybe I'll have to pry on that or something. I'm not really sure. I don't think there's any more bolts holding that, though maybe these studs hold it somehow. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I'm broke down pretty far. The parts to rebuild it are coming in on Friday. At least most of the stuff I need is coming in on Friday. So, or at least that's the estimation at the moment. Thought I'd also show you what I did to keep the parts straight, because there's a lot of parts when you start messing with this. I mean, like the stuff that's fairly unique or the exact opposite, I just put them in this bowl here. These are mostly those plastic rivets. So and then these are the two lifting rods, and I got them marked as R and L. But then I took all the other bolts, like here's the carburetor bolts, the cylinder head, nuts and washers, bolts and gaskets, and then the exhaust nuts, valve cover, alignment pins, you know. So basically all I did was just label everything and put it there. And then and this is also in the order I took it off. In other words, I took this stuff off first back here, and this is the new, you know, the most recent stuff. So hopefully I can use that in reverse order and kind of keep things straight that way too. I drained the oil out of it. There's a pan down there draining the oil. And anyway, it's going to just need a lot of TLC. I probably have to take this carburetor off and clean it, because that old gas that is in the tank, I can smell it. It smells totally varnished. So, you know, I got a lot of work to do on this thing yet. And if it rains today, maybe I'll take that carburetor off and start working on it and cleaning it up. This was, I guess, before the fuel injection type systems. Anyway, I think this is a 2002, in case you're interested to know, and it's a Honda Recon. It's a 250. We have found these Honda Recons to be the perfect machine, and the reason is, they're not four-wheel drive. You don't need four-wheel drive. Even on these super steep hills, these little suckers just go straight up them, no problem at all. They're just the right weight balance, everything. They're narrow, smaller, that you can go in between trees, trails. I mean, it's just, they're perfect. I mean, I can't even think of a machine I'd rather have. I've had people come out here with bigger machines like the Polarises and big, you know, but they just feel awkward to me. This thing here, they can't keep up with me on the trails, because I can skip through the trails so fast with these things. So anyway, I really like these Honda Recons. This is the second one we've had, or maybe the third one now that I think about it. We used to have a red one, it seems like. But anyway, this was the second one we had, and actually this one belonged to my daughter. She bought this one for the farm, and we mostly used it, even though she bought it, and that's one of the reasons I'm rebuilding it for her. And then the other one that Sue bought, the other green one, and it's a more modern one. It has electric shift and all that. This one here is all manual shift. But I think the boys will get a kick out of having a second one while they're here. And that's what it's all about, is getting it fixed up for their arrival. Well, I can tell you right now, working on this Honda carburetor on this Recon ain't for the faint of heart. This is all the parts I took off before I actually start working on the carburetor. It's a mess. It's a mess. And then I took this apart, and I ain't never seen nothing like this in all my put together. You see how cruddy brown all this powdery looking junk is? It almost looks like a mud dauber's nest. See how much is in there? It's just completely full of dirt. I ain't never seen one like that before. I mean, I've seen a lot of carburetors, trust me. I ain't never seen one like that. It literally looks like there's been mud daubers in it, and I know there hasn't. I'm assuming that's the fuel that's gelled and turned to powder over a period of time, like 10, 12 years. That is in really bad shape. So, I don't know. I'm going to try to clean this and fix this carburetor, but it might be one where we're just going to buy a new one. I don't know. This thing's bad. I'll be putting it in the sonic cleaner here before long. I decided I should tap all that stuff loose on this white thing in case any parts came out with it. And I thought, well, that gives you a good visual of how much stuff's in there. I mean, it was packed full of just dirt. I mean, it's what it looks like, dirt. Seriously, never seen one like that.
Yeah, I really have done a lot of carburetors in my life, probably at least 100 of them, with all the little small lawnmower engines Dad used to have, and I've done it tons of times, just tons of times, and I never seen one that bad. I mean, I've seen lots of them with, get like a jelly in there, just kind of a bunch of sludgy junk, tar looking stuff. I've seen all that kind of stuff, and yellow looking stuff. I ain't never seen one looks like dry dirt in there. And I mean, it looks like dry dirt. It looks like a real fine powdery dirt, and it's thick. There's a lot of it. It's not just a little bit. And there's no holes into that area, so there was no bugs that got in there and did that. I guarantee you. There's just nothing. I've just never seen it do that before. Maybe because it was so airtight. Maybe that's what caused it. I don't know. But anyway, very weird. I did take carb cleaner and spray through every jet hole that I could find, and I blew it out with the air compressor, and then after that, I put it in the sonic cleaner, turned the heat way up, and put it on a full 30-minute cycle. I haven't been back down there to look at it, but I'll probably run it through yet another cycle of that sonic cleaning, and then maybe try to reassemble the whole mess. It's, like I said, I didn't look to see what the cost is for a new carburetor. It may just make more sense just buy a new one, and I probably will, more than likely. All right, looks like David Tharp was first one in again, and he says, howdy y'all. When I moved into my new igloo, my friends threw me a surprise housewarming party. Now I'm homeless. Dottie's praying for us. Thank you, Dottie. Boy, I hate to even bring these things up. I really do. I don't like to, because it sounds like I'm crying, oh, poor me. But man, I woke up last night literally in the strongest pain I believe I've ever had with the arthritis. I ached so bad. I woke up at 1:30. I fell asleep around 9:30 and woke up at 1:30, literally screaming, going, ow, just screaming. And I couldn't even tell where I was hurting. I mean, it was everywhere. It was like all through my shoulders, through my arms, through my legs, my back, my spine, my neck. Everything was just killing me. And then then after I got up and started moving around, well, then it was mostly pain between my shoulders and my fingers. That's where most of the pain was. And man, I took 3 aspirins and then watched videos for a couple hours, and then went back to sleep. And I was okay after that, but man, it was painful. James Copy, when do you move on with your well house? Well, whenever the weather gives me a break. It's raining out there today. Like I said, when I got up this morning and went out there, it was bright, sunny, and I'm going, those weather guessers said there's 70% chance of rain. I mean, it was blue sky, the sun shining. I'm thinking it's not going to rain. Well, it's raining out there now, so I just tried to take their word for it and didn't go tear off the tarp and all that, and I'm glad I didn't, because it's a lot of work. I want to make sure we got 3 or 4 days in a row where I can get most of that roof done in this next try anyway, or at least I'm going to try hard. But it's going to take me 2 or 3 days to get it all done. Bill Webb says, good afternoon. Ronald Todd. By the way, in case you think I'm skipping anybody, I'm just reading the ones that start off with question marks. That's what I typically do. Ronald Todd says, good afternoon, everyone, from the West Bank of New Jersey. Simon Jardine, I'm ready to begin applying the hard wax varnish to my guitar. Should I brush the first coat on? I was thinking of rubbing it in slightly bald cotton pad to keep it as thin as possible. Yeah, I think that, to me, it's whatever works. If it works with the cotton, that's fine. If it works with a brush, that's fine. If it works spraying it on, that's fine. It's literally whatever works. Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with and what works is pretty much the way to go on that. I've done all of those things. In fact, the True Oil gun stock varnish that I was using toward the end there, actually, they almost recommended against spraying it. But I honestly found that to be the best application method. I sprayed it, but super thin coats. I sprayed it on with super, super thin coats. And I really got my technique down and got it where it worked for me. Would it work for you? I don't know. But it worked for me. But I had to know you have to resist the urge to spray it twice. You go over it one time and you say, that's it. And then you wait, until it dries, and then you do it again, and then you do it again and do it again. And about 3 applications was all it needed that way with that gun stock varnish. Gino Hitch, hi Jerry and friends, raining cats and dogs in Monroe, Ohio. Let's see, David Tharp, the videos really can't convey the beauty of Jerry's place. I know, I've been there. Well, thank you. It is it's like I said in my song, it's heaven on earth to me. I really love the place. It's just neat. It's, if you stop and think about something else too that I even take for granted, is that the things that I personally have discovered here that I doubt anybody else ever knew that owned this place. I mean, I don't think anybody knew that there was a Native American village or campsite there on that mound. I doubt anybody knew that. Partly because the bulldozers came through and messed up that whole area too. So that's one thing. I doubt anybody knew that. And I found that Native American grave there. I found all the artifacts, hundreds of artifacts. I doubt seriously anybody before me knew about the Civil War stuff that's here. I just doubt anybody knew that. And maybe the people that might have lived here in the mid 1800s, late 1800s, because I don't think those houses were built until about the 1880s on this farm. So that's way after the Civil War. So I doubt they even knew it. And then the other thing is I've discovered 2 caves that I'm sure nobody knew about those because they were both covered up. They were both completely, one of them was covered completely behind boulders, and the other one was just a groundhog hole, literally that big, but it looked unique to me, and it was in an area where I thought there could be a cave, so I stuck a stick back in there, and it was like a 12-foot long stick, and it was like, it ain't hitting nothing, so I'm going like, there's a cave there. So, I'm pretty sure I discovered all those things that nobody ever knew was here on this farm. And who knows what else to discover. Not to mention all the metal detection finds that I found too that are just cool stuff. But to me, it's just a neat old place with a lot of history, and it's worth knowing about and worth preserving, at least to me. Let's see. Scott Roberts. Good thing Jerry is retired now. He has a lot of areas to explore on his farm. Boy, that's an understatement. Yeah, that's true. Wavy gravy. When I was a little boy, my parents moved around a lot, but I always found them anyway. You had a good sense of direction, didn't you? You could just find where they went. And it scrolled on me. Yeah, I'm looking. Okay. Scott Roberts says, my geography teacher asked if I could name a country with no R in it. I said, no way. No way. Oh. It took me a while on that one. Actually, I read that earlier during the video or something. I saw that one, and I didn't get it then, but I got it now. Norway, no way. I got it. Okay, got it. No R. Let's see. Bill Rhodes. Yeah, you might be sitting on a gold mine with all that nice, clean, beautiful water. Well, that's, in my opinion, that is the reason that the Civil War guys were here. That's the reason, because of all the springs. And that's also the reason why those two old homesteads were back there where all that water is. They were built back there where the water's coming out, Let's see. Scott Roberts, Gino Hitch, be careful you don't step on a poodle in all that rain in Ohio. Yep. Let's see. Scott Roberts, that hammer-looking thing might be part of some kind of water hand pump. I think that's a good idea. I think that is. I have seen something like this. I really have. And when you say that does kind of make me think of something like that, because this thing probably pivoted, and like you said, you could use some kind of a pumping action. That wouldn't surprise me. That really wouldn't surprise me if that's not what it is. And if it's not water, then maybe hydraulic oil pump type thing for like a jack or something, possibly. But yeah, now that you say that, it definitely reminds me of that. Scott Roberts, Honda cylinder might be gasket holding it on. Probably just work around it with a screwdriver and pry it up. Yeah. Well, that's what I suspect also. I just didn't want to force it yet because I don't want to tear the gasket. But I also I didn't really look at it that close. Maybe there is some other fastener there that I haven't seen. But anyway, it probably is just the gasket. Eddie D. Hi, Jerry and folks. Apple cider vinegar works really well for loosening, cleaning rust. Just soak overnight, and the next day, light scrubbing with a wire brush will clean it perfectly. Yep, I do. I have some really strong vinegar down there in the shop. I got some that's, I think it's really a low percentage, like 8% or something like that. I think I've got stuff that's like 30%, 35%. Maybe it's even more than that. It might be 45%. It's really strong. It's like real acid. So you got to be careful using that stuff. Zappa says, Honda is very hard to beat. Well, in four-wheelers, I kind of agree with you. And I tell you what, after thinking about it, that was the second Recon we had. We did have a red one before, and we literally wore it out, and I should have rebuilt it, I guess, but I sold it to some kid I don't know, for a pittance amount of money that wanted a project. He was going to rebuild it. And I think I sold it to him for $400 or $500. And anyway, I never heard from him again. I don't know. I didn't even know who it was. Now I can't remember. But we did have a red one, and then my daughter bought this green one. We actually had both of those at the same time for a long time. And then Sue bought another green one, which has the electronic shift. So we're kind of stuck on those Recons. It's cool because they don't have all that many moving parts. It's just a motor and a rear end for the most part. You don't have that whole front differential and all that junk. So there's less to go wrong. They go fast. They got plenty of power, and they don't need the four-wheel drive. I mean, they just happen to be the right balance of everything. And I'm seriously telling you, I don't care how steep the hill is, that sucker will go right up it. It's amazing. It's just amazing. Let's see. Bill Rhodes, Jerry, what do you call a cow that shakes beef jerky? Oh, a cow that shakes, comma, beef jerky. Okay, got it. Let's see. I'm a very literal reader also. Like if I don't see a punctuation mark there, I read it all as one thing. Scott Roberts, if you find a snake skin, it means the snake shed it so it could grow bigger. Same thing if you find my clothes at Goodwill. Yeah. Let's see. Zappa, don't forget a new fuel filter. Yeah, I'm trying to think, does that even have a fuel filter? It's got to have something, doesn't it? I don't know. I don't remember seeing one on there, though. That's weird. Scott Roberts, come on, Tharp Slacker. Let's see. GNP Old Marine Shop. Hi, Jerry. Very common here. Outboard carbs packed with salt powder to top. They all actually clean up just fine. Okay. Never seen it before. I really never have. And like I said, I've taken probably apart as many carburetors as just about anybody you'll ever meet. I just used to do it, seemed like once or twice a day back in the old days. Ronald Todd, Jerry, I think the carb dirt may be due to ethanol in the gas. That's possible, I guess. Paul Akers, I've had to use a drill bit to clean out the carb orifices hard as shellac. Yeah, I have had to do that kind of thing too. Bill Mumbo, Jerry, Joe on 2 Vintage channel cleans, loads muddy stuff out of carburetor bowls. Okay. Well, I found it, gummy, muddy looking stuff, but it's always been wet. This is dry as it can be, and I've never seen it like this and be that much dirt. It's just amazing. There was a lot of it in there. Scott Roberts, Jerry, have you tried the rubbing alcohol with onion soaking in it for joint pain? I just now made a batch and it seems to help a little. Only been trying it a couple of times this week. No, but I haven't, but I doubt I will either, to be honest with you. First of all, I can't stand onions. I can't even stand to be at the same table with onions. I'm not kidding you. People, well, as a matter of fact, I didn't mean to get off on this rant, but me and my taste buds, it's very unique. You can believe what you want, but trust me, I've been tested. It's very unique. People, like I was watching a video this morning, and I don't usually watch anything where somebody's making something to eat, but this was tagged right at the end of, I think it was Outdoors with the Morgans. Right at the very end, he was making steaks, and he on his grill, and he says, and then the next frame was he was putting green beans, and he goes, "Green beans, my favorite," and I'm going, "Oh God. I mean, I don't see how you can even eat them, let alone be your favorite. I mean, seriously, that's how, if you could just taste it like I taste it, it's just unbelievable. And onions are one of the very worst. It's just, I can't even be near onions. When somebody sits down at a table with me and they're eating onions, it's all I can do to stay at the table. I mean, I'm not kidding. It's that bad. Scott Roberts, has anyone seen my jacket? It's white with sleeves that make you hug yourself and a cute belt. I didn't get that one. Has anyone seen my jacket? It's white with sleeves that make you hug yourself and a cute belt. Okay, fine. Gary Cooper, Missouri Moon by Rhonda Vincent is a great song. I don't know if I know that one for sure. Missouri Moon. It seems like I've heard something called that. Paul Akers, no Chinese carbs junk. Fix old one if possible. Use a tip in a drill to clean the needle seat. Yeah. Well, I plan to try to use it if I can. Bill Mumbo, Scott Roberts, are you being straight with us? Okay. And then I guess about the jacket. I was like, I'm not sure what he's getting at there. Zappa says, Jerry, I found a photo of a very similar hook as the one you found. It was a rain guide on the waist strap of a horse pulling a plow. Are you talking about this or are you talking about this? This, I would imagine, probably did come off of a harness. I'm guessing on that, if that's what you're talking about. This, I don't think this is harness material here. I think Scott Roberts had a good idea on this one. I kind of think this is, now that he says that, I kind of think it's got some kind of pumping action going on, because that's the way it looks like it's made. Bill Rhodes says, Jerry, it's raining here also. I am 45 miles west of St. Louis on Highway 70. And I just lost it. Scrolled on me again, but I found it. Bill Rhodes says, Jerry, do you know why ghosts don't go on dates? They have nobody to go with. Nobody to go with. Okay. Let's see. Sky Roberts. You might find the remains of a rebel soldier back in that cave you've been digging out. Well, I tell you what, you can just call it wishful thinking, and that's what it is. I mean, it really is. I took that, that claw, that digger or ripper's what they call it, on the end of that excavator, and I'm reaching in there and I'm dragging these rocks and stuff out. Well, they came out real flat. A lot of them were like perfectly flat, square type rocks, and they were like stacked. And I'm going, did somebody stack rocks over this cave? And close it off? Well, then, it's the wishful thinking. I'm thinking, did they close this entrance off and then cover it over with dirt or something, I said, that'd be a perfect hiding place, And so that's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking, maybe I'm going to find Civil War, a cache in there. Maybe there's ammunition, or maybe there's, old rifles or something. So my mind's just running, which in reality, I mean, the odds are, slim to zero on that. But at least at first, when those rocks come out, they were really kind of stacked up. And I really did think for a minute there somebody did stack them in front of it. But as I got further along, I could tell that wasn't the case. Let's see. Diane Craver. Jerry, did you hear about the fire at the 100,000 square foot Temu warehouse in China? Completely destroyed, a total loss estimated $59.26. Yeah, I think somebody else said that one the other day in the comments. That's pretty funny. But that's that does kind of fit, actually. It's amazing how they can sell that stuff that cheap. It's just amazing. I guess if you got 6-year-old kids out there making all that stuff, you can do that. Bill Rhodes, perhaps that metal piece might be off of an old car. Yeah, I guess it's possible, but I do kind of think it's a pump thing. I do kind of think, because see, there's a hole all the way through this pivot in there that you can't really see. Well, there you can kind of see, and that's a pivot, and that pivot rocks back and forth. So that's, yeah, I think it's got something to do with a pump. I really do. Now that he says that, I wouldn't have come up with that until he said that, but now that he said it, it definitely makes sense. Zaba, be very careful using that vinegar on cast aluminum carb. Yeah, I don't plan to use the vinegar on that. Ben Boy, do you ever play F by playing the G string on the 2nd fret and the D and A strings on the 3rd fret? If you're asking me, that's way over my head. I know nothing about music and where notes are and all that. I mean, I know it sounds stupid to say that, but I don't know anything like that. So I don't know. There's not a chance. I play literally everything by ear, other than just knowing where the chords themselves are. Not necessarily the notes in the chords. I don't know the notes in the chords. I know where the chords are. Yeah, I probably know. It's pretty. It seems so stupidly ironic for me to even say how this really is. I probably know less about music than anybody on the planet, at least in terms of formal understanding of music. Yet, I've probably taught as many people how to play music as just about anybody on the planet. It's nuts. It's just nuts. Yeah, I teach it all by common sense. That's the only way I can understand it. Scott Roberts, you don't eat the onions, just use it as a topic. I can't stand the smell of it. I don't even see how you can get near it. Yeah, he says, I can eat onions like an apple. So, there's just really no chance. I mean, I don't even want to be in the same building with them, let alone having it smeared on my arms. There's that. Simon Jardine, you can remove rust using an old battery charge. Yep, I know about that too. And I actually have one of those. I don't remember who it was now. Was it Temu or was it Vivor? I think it was Vivor, or was it Temu? Sent me one of those electrolysis things. So I have one of those that works, and works really well. I've removed the rust on several hammerheads. In fact, that's going to be a project for down the road, as I'm going to restore those. And they're already, the metal parts looking great already, but I'm going to make new handles for them. Sue actually wants to put them in a display case because they're all uniquely weird hammers that I found here on the farm. So anyway, yeah. Says, don't use a smart charger, though. It won't deliver the charge you need. Right. Yeah, the old-fashioned battery chargers work great. Excuse me. Bill Rhodes, Jerry, I don't want you to start something. I just wondered, does anybody else have any horror stories about doctors and hospitals? Not me too much. I don't have any. They just kind of botched my kidney stone removal thing really bad. It was super, 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 super painful. It really was. I was absolutely suicidal on that deal. I literally was suicidal. I'm not kidding you. If they, at the point where I was in such crazy pain, if they just said, push this button, it'll end your pain. It's going to kill you, but it'll end your pain. I'd have pushed it that fast. That's how bad that pain was. It was incredible. But then that was bad enough. And then after they went and took the stones out, and you know how they do that. They go through the whoo-hoo, and And then they leave this thing inside you, which I didn't know that. They don't tell you that. And then you got to go back and they got to pull that thing out. Well, they went in to get it. And you know how they go in there. And they couldn't get it. They couldn't find it. And he's going, I don't see it. I don't see it. And he's in there it's supposed to be, he told me it's going to be like 30 seconds in and out. Well, he's in there for about 3 minutes. And he ain't seen it, and he ain't found it. Fine. Oh, I got it. Okay, I've got it. And it comes out. It ain't on the end of the thing. Guess what that means? Back in. Yeah, they botched that really good. It was bad. And he said, the first time you go to the bathroom, it's going to really hurt. So, I don't know. I held off as long as I could and finally went to the bathroom, and at first I thought, oh, this ain't that bad. And then it got worse. And it got worse. It got worse. It got worse. It got worse. It got so bad I couldn't even stand it, man. I'm serious. I was screaming. It hurt so bad. It was unbelievable how bad that hurt. But that even, and as bad as that hurt, that I wasn't suicidal on that. I was suicidal on the part before where the kidney had swelled up to twice its size, and oh God, it was like 14 days. I'm not kidding you. I was suicidal. Seriously. They actually had me on suicide watch. Let's see. Ronald Todd, straight jacket. Oh. So that's what you're talking about. Okay, I got you. All right, I got you. I was really wondering where you were going with that thing. I couldn't figure that one out for nothing. Don Nice. Nice pink shirt, Jerry. Okay, thank you. Scott Roberts. Bill Mumbo about the onions. Yes, not the straight jacket. Bill Rhodes. Jerry, I think he was talking about the straight jacket. Okay, all right, whatever. I'm totally confused at this point. Ronald Todd, the hook was hook from the other day. The hook was the hook from the other day. Well, I don't even remember what that was now at this point. Sorry. There's just too much. I can't keep it in context. And you got to remember, it's not like I don't do 14,000 other things in between each day. I'm constantly doing something, constantly busy, constantly doing something. So it just all runs together on me. Zappa, talking about the hook from, okay. Bill Rhodes, I was thinking you might find some Indian artifacts back in that cave. Yeah. Well, the big cave that I uncovered, I doubt the Indians even knew it was there because it literally had some giant boulders over it. Now, it's possible that it was open at their time they were there because they were thousands of years ago, according to the information I've got. And it's possible that those boulders fell down and closed the cave off, and it's possible they did know they were there. But at this point in time, because it was so full of silt and dirt and mud, we couldn't find any evidence that they had ever been in there. And I was definitely looking for evidence, but I didn't see any. So I don't know. It's possible, but so far, nothing like that's happened. But that would be really cool. I would love that. Trust me. Paul Akers, fuel filter is made in the Pepcock. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. The Petcock. There's yeah. Okay. I better look that over now that you say that. Let's see. Bill looks like transmission linkage to me. Okay, on this. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure. Now that you, I thought I had seen something fairly similar to this in the past, and now in fact, I think down there on my hydraulic jacks, my pumps, every one of them's got this. But they're a little smaller. That's a pretty big one. That's like he said, it could be for water possibly, but it could be for just an old early hydraulic jack too. Let's see. Now I got to find my place again. GNP Old Marine Shop. Jerry, I'm like that with fish. I smell it and get nauseous. Yeah, I don't like fish smell either. Yeah, I really don't. I think because I have such a strong sense of taste that I also have a stronger sense of smell. My kids always said I did because I could smell everything. That's when I can breathe through my nose. Now, that's the other problem is I have such sinus trouble. I can't breathe through my nose hardly ever, but when I can, and like green vegetables, they open up my sinuses. I mean, like, ugh. I don't see how anybody, I can't even stand the smell of them, let alone to eat them. It's pitiful. Scott Roberts, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was filmed here in Salem, Oregon, where I live. I wasn't in the movie, though. And then he says, my wife went to school with the author's kids. Ken Kesey lived about a half mile from them. Cool. Dottie Hildebrandt, I have a horror story about a doctor. The doctor about killed me with the blood disease. Careful of picking your doctors. Yeah, it's scary anymore. It really is. I don't know. Some of the really old-time doctors were really scary. Then somewhere around the 50s, maybe 60s, seems like doctors got really good. At least that's the way it seemed to me. Around the 60s, 70s, they seemed really good. And it seems like there's been a spiral since then. And it hasn't been up. It seems like it's been down to me. That's just the way it seems. I could be completely wrong because I don't go to that doctor that often. Thank God. I don't go to the doctor very often. Garland Edmondson, Straight Jacket Jerry. Okay. Yeah, I know. I think, I don't know. Now that there's been so much water under the bridge, I'm not sure I know what we're talking about. But we're talking about that one with where the arms are hugging yourself. That I get it, that was a straight jacket. Simon Jardine, the most painful thing I ever experienced was picking up a live cable in each hand unable to let go. Luckily, the fuse blew in the house fuse box. I was 17, almost killed. Yeah, I've been there and I've done that too. That's bad. I've always done my own electrical work and done everything like that. Well, I can't remember exactly what I was doing at the moment, but I was out in the garage. We had our wood furnace in the garage at that time. JR just happened to be standing right there by me, and I was doing something that was partially to do with electrical on the motor or something on the fan. I don't remember exactly what it was I was doing, but somehow I got hit by that electric. Usually when I get hit by electric, I jerk away from it. For some reason, I couldn't get jerked off of that. I mean, I did. I finally did, but it was really hard to get loose of it. And now I know exactly what you're talking about. It felt like it was going to kill me. I mean, it really did. And JR starts laughing. He just thought it was a normal, just regular shock. And I'm seriously telling you, that dang near killed me. It was bad. But that's the only time that's ever happened. I've been shocked a lot of times, and I don't like it at all. But that one was serious. And, there's been more people, I think, killed with just the single-phase 110 electric getting shocked like that than almost any other kind. It can really nail you. Scott Roberts, do you don't even want to know how lobotomies were performed years ago? I know. That was pretty bad. When they knock a hole and went in through their nose or something. I mean, it's just back through the skull. It's crazy. Scott Roberts, I have an electric fence story to tell you someday. Don't grab it. Just for fun unless you are trying to get your little brother to give it a try. Yeah. I've been there and done that. With my dad that's all he ever had when we were young. From the time I was probably around fourth grade is kind of when everything started happening for me, because that's when he started making me work all the time. I was 10 years old, and he had electric fence around 10 acres for our horse pasture, and my brother Steve and I had to go around there and clean the grass under that fence to keep, because back then those weren't like they are now, and they would short out really easily. But man, you would get shocked all the time from that stupid electric fence. Man, I hated it. I absolutely completely hated it. I hated it. I don't like it. To this day, I can't stand to get shocked. Like even just static electricity, it makes me mad. I hate it. Literally hate getting shocked. It's like the worst thing. If you really wanted to torture me, that'd be the way. Yeah, Scott Roberts says they went through your eye socket. Yeah, well, I had heard they went through a nose too, but I don't know. Bad either way. That ain't good. Zappa, be careful what finch you... Yeah, exactly. I've been there. Know all about that too. Well, guys, I'm going to let that be it. We will see you tomorrow with something else. Thanks for being here.